The first flights from the United States to Guantanamo Bay with illegal migrants are underway. And so President Trump, Pete Hegseth, and Kristi Noem are already delivering on this promise to utilize that capacity at Gitmo for illegal criminals who have broken our nation's immigration laws and then have further committed heinous crimes against lawful American citizens.
Okay, so obviously none of that is proven. And yet that is true that 10 migrants have been sent to Guantanamo who are now being held in cells that used to hold Al-Qaeda suspects. Now, I'm someone, as I don't think that people should have been held in Guantanamo without charges for decades and decades and decades. Everyone is entitled to due process. So for me, I'm like, yeah, Al-Qaeda suspects should also not have been treated that way. But holy shit, Kyle, like 10 men sent to the prison base. There's a picture of a cell that used to hold Al-Qaeda. They are presumed to be members of the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua.
Nonsense. Not true. No, it's not true. Look, let me just, I'll put this very simply for people. This is fascism. What we're looking at right now, 100% is fascism. There's no way around it. The whole point of Guantanamo Bay is that it's an extrajudicial prison, which means no due process, no habeas corpus, no recourse. They don't care what your side of the story is. There's no hearing. Your ass gets thrown in a dark cell and you have to stay there, full stop, period. And even back when it was George W. Bush and Dick Cheney, it was always alleged terrorists.
Yep.
Well, guess what? We learned not that long after, the overwhelming majority of the people that they arrested were totally innocent. One of the first stories I ever covered was about a guy by the name of Murat Kurnaz, who's a German citizen who was arrested in Pakistan on a bus, brought all the way to Guantanamo Bay, and then the government of Germany had to say, hey, George W. Bush, Dick Cheney, what are you doing? This is one of our citizens. They didn't do anything wrong. There's no evidence of any wrongdoing.
Yep.
So that was when it was alleged terrorists. It wasn't that. That's fascism as well. Now he's gone above and beyond where you're going to arrest people on U.S. soil, who, by the way, once you're on U.S. soil, you have rights, period. That's how it works legally. You have rights.
Yeah.
You get due process, all that stuff. You have a right to all of that stuff. And guess what? We just learned last week, one of the people that ICE arrested and is about to deport is a middle school teacher from Miami-Dade who is a dreamer who was brought here as a kid. They arrested a Puerto Rican family, including a toddler. They arrested a U.S. veteran in Newark, New Jersey. People are now deputizing themselves as part of ICE. Like, we are so far beyond even the Twilight Zone. And the idea of sending them to El Salvador, that is wildly illegal and unconstitutional. Absolutely. So the fact that this isn't a bigger story, the fact that more people aren't talking about this, and the fact that everybody doesn't draw a hard line and say, we literally can't do this. This is insane. We are a rogue nation. Any reasonable country would look at us now and say, we should do regime change there because look at how they're acting. It just blows my mind.
No, absolutely. And I think the other thing is like we've allowed ourselves, I think mainstream news has also helped in this, dehumanize
100%.
immigrants. Dehumanize immigrants to the point where, like, I didn't see, the New York Times did one piece pushing back on the cats and dogs and talking about Haitian migrants in Springfield, for example. That was one piece. It was weeks later. Where's the camera crews? Where are the people talking about, like, you know, the teachers who have DACA? Like, right now, they should be out there speaking. I mean, obviously, nobody wants to, like, out themselves, and the fear is real, you know, obviously is very real. But there's 500,000 DACA recipients. Like, my friends are DACA recipients. What the fuck? Like, what is going to happen to them? They were promised by the U.S. government that this would be a pathway, that they would be safe. They would give their information. That's the whole point of seeking asylum, of seeking refuge, of being a refugee, of coming to this country and wanting to either do it right or at least say, I'm going to register myself, living here undocumented, but you have my information. Like, it is to say, like, so long as I'm, you know, whatever, abiding by laws / paying a bunch of money into a social security fund I'll never see the, you know, benefits of, this is not a crime to live here, right? It's not a crime. So obviously this administration doesn't see it that way. And Kyle, any dimwit, I'm sorry, who thought that this wasn't the ultimate goal, like, I mean, you should really not be in the news space at all. Like, there's no way that we all know that this was happening. We all knew that undocumented equals criminal. It doesn't matter whether anyone actually committed a crime. To say nothing of the fact that undocumented people commit far fewer crimes than American citizens. So yeah, this is a huge story. And the other thing that, maybe who it is, but apparently there's word that inside the Trump administration, there are people who like loved the Japanese internment as well.
Oh, Stephen Miller. It's got to be Stephen Miller.
Right. So, and these are the things where it's like, I mean, I felt like Gaza brought this up for me, where everyone, was suddenly talking about like, World War II and, Hiroshima, Nagasaki. And it was like, well, we had to do it. And I was like, wait, hang on, time out. Wait, do people think that dropping the A-bomb is justified? Given that we knew Japan was going to surrender, given the, millions of lives lost, like what the and then now you're like, oh, no, we're in that upside down where people are now like, actually, Japanese internment was a good thing. Despite all of what we have learned, the horrors, the atrocities, the survivors of it. But under the Alien Enemies Act, which Donald Trump has invoked by executive order, he allows this. Wartime authority allows the president to detain or deport natives and citizens of an enemy nation. The Alien Enemies Act has been invoked just 3 times in American history: War of 1812, World War I, World War II. Obviously best known for incarcerating Japanese people during World War II. Provides sweeping powers to detain or deport foreign nationals and is ripe for abuse. I mean, the fact that we even have this on the books. So it's like, again, it is not hyperbole to say that these are mass detention centers, gulags, whatever you want, that this is a threat. And just today, what is it? Some news channels being investigated for their coverage of Trump, some from radio.
Yeah, San Francisco radio station. The FCC is investigating them because they didn't like how they covered immigration. So look, it's a war on the First Amendment. It's a war on the Constitution. When it comes to it, there is no more international law anymore. This is a part that is genuinely chilling to me. And it all started with the genocide in Gaza that we've been witnessing. And then now Trump is already taking international law, which is laying on the ground, bleeding out of its nose, semi-conscious. He's taking a shotgun directly to its face when he comes out and says, oh, we're going to take over Gaza. We're going to own Gaza and we're going to develop it. And man, they have some beautiful beachfront property. And we could build some hotels there and stuff. What we're looking at right now, everybody needs to realize we rolled back the clock to the 1800s, and we're living in a situation where international law is fake. There is no international law. The UN is now officially like the League of Nations, where Trump just came out today and said we're sanctioning the ICC because they issued an arrest warrant for Benjamin Netanyahu.
Yep.
And it's like, how many schools did Israel bomb? How many hospitals did they bomb? How many aid workers did they attack? How many World Central Kitchen workers did they attack? How many kids got sniped directly in the face?
Yes.
Like, how many concentration camps did they set up? And they look at all of that and they go, great. We have the biggest military, so we can do whatever the hell we want, and everybody can shut up and or complain about it, but nothing's going to change, and we're going to do what we want. So it really is a war on the notion of human rights, the notion of international law. And what we're witnessing is an outright assault on everything that we hold dear, right?
Yep.
Every single thing we hold dear. And that now includes, and this is the first time it's ever been in our lifetimes, now that includes even trying to roll back the few social safety net programs that we have, which have remained in place since the New Deal. Now they're even coming after those. So it's
you think
this is it, guys.
But let's put a pin in that, because I do want to talk to you about that before we get there's I do just want to name that, like, myself and Cenk Uygur had disagreements about these mass detention centers. Anna actually on a recent TYT program said that I was wrong and freaking out because actually Guantanamo has historically held immigrants and migrants, and this has been done before. This is from a Slate article. Exactly. So
go ahead. You explain it. Go ahead.
But no, so the Slate article goes into it, but basically Clinton did build a mass detention facility for 12,500 inmates in Guantanamo Bay. The detention center operated for 3 years, was eventually closed under great political pressure, not without first subjecting thousands of people to deplorable conditions, being housed in makeshift barracks with windows covered by taped garbage bags, fed rotten food, sometimes infested with maggots. Now, that was obviously bad. The idea at that point was to turn Guantanamo into kind of an Ellis Island type midway point for people to have their immigration cases processed.
So in other words, it was not indefinite, and it was also for specifically Cuban and Haitian migrants who were caught on the open sea in international waters.
Exactly.
Very different. I disagree with it. I oppose it completely. But to pretend that that's the same as what we're witnessing now, where it's take them on American soil where they have rights and that's guaranteed, and to indefinitely keep them there, that is totally different. That's an order of magnitude worse.
Right. But again, I'm like, somehow I'm supposed to go back and be like, well, there was, Clinton also did this. I hate whataboutism. I hate when anyone does whataboutism. It's the worst.
Both sidesism is going to be the death of this country. False equivalence is going to be the death of in the year of our Lord 2025. I can't say this clearly enough. In the year of our Lord 2025, if you're still doing, but the Democrats, just you're
Back
done.
it in.
You're done. Pack it up. Washed. Shaq on the Celtics. Washed.
The problem I have with that, the only time I want to say that is that Biden on Israel and Gaza and Biden on the border really didn't walk us back from a lot of the Trump's first term policies. So it's not whataboutism, but it's like, man, we had a chance to do so much better on these issues. And yet, the ACLU also sued Biden for not allowing asylum seekers into this country. And Biden didn't move back the, embassy from Jerusalem back to Tel Aviv in Israel. So like these are the issues that the Democratic Party has been willing to go so far to the right on, Kyle. And this is my worry, because we're in a moment now where we're asking Dems and more broadly everybody. The only people really fighting, honestly, are like young people of color are in the streets against ICE because they know what's up and they're always right. Just like they were in the streets against Palestine. I mean, for Palestine. But like my worry is that we've poison pilled this country's psyche around immigrants and around these issues to the point where it's like, I don't know. I do fault Democrats for this point we're in. In fact, every morning I get up, Kyle, very, very angry at Democrats for walking us back into the jaws of Donald Trump.
Well, you've heard of the ratchet effect, right? The idea that Republicans take us super far right and then Democrats sort of like keep us there, right?
Yes.
And there's certainly an element of truth to that. But I honestly think we are witnessing a mass awakening right now at the grassroots level. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've seen this, but from my perspective, the day that Joe and Mika on MSNBC said they met with Donald Trump and had lunch with him, like they lost like 50 or 60% of their audience like that.
Yeah.
And my channel is witnessing, and many others, I'm sure yours included, there are these MSNBC refugees who are now looking for answers. And guess what? The left provides actual answers. And if you're looking for somebody, their whole bread and butter is resist Trump, right? That's all they care about. Well, not only are we going to resist Trump, we're going to resist him way better than the centrists are. And also, we have an ideological vision and a philosophy that we're fighting for. We are fighting for universal healthcare. We are fighting for ending the corruption. We are fighting for higher wages. We are fighting for unionization. We are fighting for a 4-day work week. We are fighting for civil rights for all. There's a mass awakening at the grassroots level. And what you even see this pressure now coming through in very tangible ways, where for a while early on, a lot of these Democratic politicians were just like 10 or 12 of them in the Senate would always vote for whoever the Trump pick was. Mm-hmm. That just stopped with Russ Vought.
Yes,
Why?
it did. Yeah.
Because all of these Democratic senators and Democratic congresspeople, they've gotten a torrent of angry phone calls where people are like, bitch, you better fall the back and I don't know what you think you're doing.
Yeah.
You resisted in 2017. We want you to quadruple that today, not bend the knee.
What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/Bitchuation Room. Do it.